died, so I was making out the.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Sound pass.
Five till, 4 till.
I'm mistaken on the date Casey was supposed to be.
I'm Casey. Yeah.
You're Casey.
Hey, Casey, that is the best I've seen
That's
you
a
look.
big
That's
improvement.
a great look. You're awesome. Casey, would you like
You
a
work with the county?
trip?
I'm Melissa.
Nice to meet you, Melissa.
What do you do for the county?
I work in general services, so I am, general services, county building.
That's great.
I'm very familiar.
I had a question for you. Years ago, when I was on the trail committee, we had like an annual budget of like 400,000 for parks. You know what the budget is now? County?
Still putting these. More than that.
Right.
So we have our parks that are only funded through it's all based on
Fees. Right.
yeah.
You do get money off of, Marcus Creek, though.
Yes,
Harvest?
we log that every 7 to 10 years.
So then, but I mean, like for the CZ Trail or other things that are not
So
paid
the
for.
trail's not gonna-
Okay.
So people online can hear you.
Yeah.
Or you can sit there.
I can just sit there. Yeah, that's fine.
perfectly fine.
County, yeah, sooner or later should have.
Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
be sitting there eventually.
Yeah. A little over 2 years. So I'm not from this area. My husband's family is from Scappoose. Some of you probably know them, the Gaymans. My family, my husband's family. I'm from Portland,
All right, what part? This is something we're doing.
Northeast Portland.
Well, there was,
Caleb is, so Levi's my husband and then his brother Caleb. Yeah.
good.
Yeah. He's outside playing with our 2 children. Actually, one of us in dance class and the other one.
Teacher, isn't he?
Huh?
Is he a teacher?
Caleb's a teacher and Levi works as a sheet metal worker.
Right, he was kind of in the,
Military, yeah.
yeah, I know his parents really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys ready to get started?
Sure. You want your gavel?
Meeting to order. Roll call. Ready, present?
Yes. Not really.
We have, who's missing?
Paul? There's Scotty.
Hey, Scotty.
All right, Scotty's here, we can start. Are we doing that?
I'm surprised Paul's missing. He was at
Here.
the economic committee meeting. Is he not on the phone?
There we go.
Sure. Who's that?
Somebody that they couldn't make it.
Who's that? Who just-
Charlotte? Is Paul online or?
No,
Didn't hear anybody.
no one's online.
Chin up there.
No.
Right here. Is that his number?
Well, I can give you a little
Yeah.
report on him
I
too.
can close the transcript though.
Okay, well, why don't we get started? Introductions first. Everybody,
Barry Brooks,
Harry on the end.
first year on the committee. Still here.
Nathan Hayner on year 1 too.
Yeah.
All right. So JJ Duran, I've been here since the beginning of time.
I'm Michael Sykes.
Ian Holsworth. I've been on the committee basically a year, November last year.
Yeah, my name's Dave Suka. I'm Public Works Director.
I'm Charlotte Baker. I'm a contract administrator.
Everybody.
Meet you?
I'm Brian Hammond. Lost track how long I've been on now. So,
Well, about as long as me, so very
yeah,
long.
pretty close to it.
Oh.
So.
Okay, welcome everybody. Copy of our agenda. Any questions about the agenda?
Isaac hasn't logged on, so I don't know if he will be doing his update.
Yeah, I can give a quick update.
Oh, wait,
Or-
wait. Before you do that, Dave has been such an asset to the stuff we do in Heritage Park. I mean, it's like with very little money and staff, they do an amazing job keeping that place clean. And like during our second movie, the light in the gazebo wouldn't go out, which meant we couldn't watch movies. And Dave and his crew saved the day, so we had another movie night. So I was been meaning to give this to you, but this first time we've even seen you, so I just wanted to thank you so much for everything. Yes, please come up. Thank you so much for everything you do for movies in the park and for what you do with the city. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you. We all appreciate you. Big hand for Dave. I know, but you're the king, so.
All-star.
I can't take credit. That crew works very hard. They
They
have a lot
do.
of pride in their stuff.
Okay, so
Great.
let's don't get ahead of ourselves. Item 1, 2 is meeting minutes, October. Look at those. Correction.
I know you will notice that the date is wrong. I have corrected that.
Right.
Make that motion.
Second to the October, is it
Aye.
now we're at public comment. Let me just stay out there in the audience. Crowd tonight.
Buddy there.
Any public comment online? Okay, anyone online? Record? None? Business?
Yeah, so obviously we're in the middle of fall and leaves are overwhelming us at the moment. So the bulk of our crews or parks are just to pick up. Last year we bought a tool that's a huge vacuum cleaner that blows the leaves into the back of the truck, and so our crews have been out using that. Amongst and everything else to get on top of that. As you may have noticed, there's decorations now out in Heritage Park. Our crews worked with Community Club today to get that set up. believe they're gonna debut it on December 2nd. And we're also working with Scappoose Bay Watershed, as most of you know, on creek enhancement. We had a meeting this week, just talking about upcoming projects. They're restaffing themselves a little bit, and they've got a little better grasp on projects. So I anticipate next year you're going to see some more plantings along the creek. We're just going to continue to enhance, and eventually there'll be a nice tree canopy along the creek. Then Reach F, which is the grab horn portion of that project, will kick off this coming summer as well. That'll be the entire length of our frontage on the west side of the creek, and then we're going to work toward
Back to bank like
it will be, yeah. The grab horn design is it's in progress of still getting the final details of the rough draft done. Then we'll probably have to put an RFP out for the official design of it. So, seeing that. We're working right now with the engineer that you've seen the exhibits from to get enough information so we can apply for the grant, the actual design. Possibly with that engineer, but we don't know until the RFP. Anything questions I can answer about?
I have a comment at the Economic Development Committee meeting today. One of the questions they had regarding Christmas lights was the new lights that you're putting, that are the new street lights that are going up. And their question was whether or not they would be able to use those outlets and those in those areas for Christmas lights.
The answer in theory is yes.
Okay.
We've been looking at, there'll be a council presentation, I think,
On the
within the
lights? I
next
think it's the
month.
next
I
one.
can't remember exactly on the agenda which that is, but yeah, so this coming meeting, council meeting, they're going to talk about it. But there will be receptacles at the top. Purpose of that, we don't want to put them down below because they electricity for that we don't want them to be using it for. So,
Sure.
but yes, lighting is something that we definitely want to.
Well, and just to one step further, so would we ever have any outlets for people wanting to charge electric bikes, or has that been discussed at all?
It wouldn't be at those locations. If it
Okay.
was, it would be an established or at the parks or something.
Okay.
But there won't be receptacles at all of the streetlights that somebody.
Gotcha. All right.
Or you may end up with cars and things going up.
Very slow.
It is, but you'd be amazed. People do it.
I'm not, yeah, no, yeah.
Any other updates?
I can question. The special session, December 3rd, wasn't that something to do with the Grabhorn Park?
Session.
The council special.
Is there a work
Fourth,
session?
there was a special
The re-
council.
Was it to review the master?
Was it review the master plan? I thought it was review the plan.
It's a master plan.
Okay,
Yeah.
master.
Nothing grab on.
Nothing Grabhorn, okay.
That it's one of the, in the plan.
Park is identified as a new feature in the plan, but we're not going to be talking about the design. Okay. Once there's a engineer on board to do the final design, or maybe at some point when there'll be a presentation. I wouldn't anticipate that.
Just curious which direction it was going.
Yeah, no, the glad you brought that up. The work session will be combined with all of you, planning commission and city council all at the same time. Presented that master plan, and that'll be your chance to weigh in on it. Since we're under a time constraint, it was almost impossible to have a meeting with you guys and then have a meeting with planning. So we just pulled it all together to try to hurry up and get this thing done so we can make that grant.
I think at the end of the day, we did good and our recommendation, that's in there. So
Yeah, and everything that we discussed when we had that little group, that is exactly what we took back.
any other questions? Anyone? All right. Moving on to new business. Our first item is goal adoption. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at those? Well, we had 7 goals that we're going to recommend to the council. I'll just read them real quickly for the record. Pursue grants to develop Grabhorn Park. We felt like that was probably most important. 2, identify and pursue grant opportunities. 3, identify and strengthen partnerships, key stakeholders. 4, explore opportunities, pursue funding options. 5, increase recreational opportunities for the community. 6, increase volunteer engagement. 7, create a strategic plan for Chapman Landing. Feedback? Pretty good with those?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Ryan, what do you think? Okay, so there's no discussion. I guess we would probably pass a motion to adopt or recommend these to the council for inclusion in their goals for the coming year.
Do you have a question? Yes.
Since our liaison isn't here to ask, can I ask a question? Go back to City of Scappoose. Are these goals that you're recommending that the council adopt as goals, which would then allow us to get the funding and staff time, or these goals that you guys are going to pursue throughout the year? These are goals that you're recommending us as a council.
Well, typically, as I understand the process, we make recommendations of goals to the council. The council has their goal setting process and they consider them. Most of the time they include them, but there might be one here that you guys don't like. And then if you adopt them, then our job is to kind of work with staff to move them forward, understanding that that we're kind of a policy committee. But I think that after you identify these goals, the next step would be the staff to prepare action plans, which would lay out how we're going to accomplish them, and then we would work with staff to try and implement that. Is that fair?
I think that's excellent.
But yeah, we don't want to work on, first of all, we want to make sure we're aligned with the council. And the truth is, some of these are probably what we discussed in the last meeting is some of these are going to take probably more than a year. So next year you might want to re-include them. But basically these were the result of that SWOT, and these are the things we think if the council adopts it, that we can build better parks.
And you'll present this on December 4th, 11th?
Good.
When you come to, that you come to one of our council meetings, I think, and you guys.
The one on the 4th, yeah.
Do that.
Do you think that the Parks Committee did have their own goals in the past as well that you guys work on?
Such as like the Earth Day, or things that you guys are working on.
Right. Well, when we started out with Dave Powers, we did kind of have our own, but it was a brand new committee. So, it's pretty established. And I think Mike makes an excellent point that really we're setting policy and it's city council that makes those decisions.
And I think what I'm seeing is that the council gives you guys task and direction, and then you guys will go versus you're not necessarily coming up with your own ideas and stuff, trying to pursue them. Council will give you direction. So we feel that we need something done, we'll come to you and see if you guys are able to do it.
Well, but I also think, but it's also, us coming up with by just doing this for a while and also getting feedback from the committee to come up with tasks that we think are important. And then it's the city council's decision as to whether, what the merit is and would it be the importance, do you think, as well, Mike, of the different goals?
I think I think that we've kind of call them, there are top 7 priorities.
Right, but for city council, they may rearrange how they see those as important, the level of importance. Does that make sense?
Or they can put a highlight on one. I'm sure that pursuing grants for Grabhorn Park going to be a priority. I think there's some routine things that we're going to do, and I think your point's well taken about Earth Day, and we probably need to figure out how we fit that in and come up with a work plan for the next year for projects that we're going to be.
Sure.
Because sometimes your goals they don't always necessarily include a lot of your other some of the stuff that is routine.
Because do you see things that you have reasons to meet now? I mean, are there things that once you give these goals, is there things we'll have to come up with reasons to meet then? You have enough things to go over, like, I mean, every month to have a meeting?
So when you say have a meeting with city council or?
Oh, your meeting right here.
I see.
I would hope so, and I think so. We're going to be having a meet to talk about Earth Day. The grant for the park. Imagine that Dave's going to come and say, "Hey, here's what we got planned, and here's what the grant looks like," and maybe get our feedback on that kind of stuff.
I see you working with the signage on the Crown Z Trail, and working with the county on that over time.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that would be done by now.
Well, the other thing that, again, the action plans are really important. These goals are fine, but really putting together an action plan, that brings it to life, and it outlines steps that we're going to need to kind of follow to accomplish them. And that's going to be staff driven, and we'll probably give the staff feedback on that, but, and I think we'll flesh out some of those projects. Make sense, you guys? And I imagine Charlotte's going to be writing up the action plan.
So for the action plans, I mean, I don't remember ever seeing or hearing a committee write action plans. I don't in my recollection, I've never brought an action plan to a committee, but there's definitely committee involvement in a lot of what we do with those action plans. For example, all the action plans about the Parks Master Plan, that required, committee input for those things, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have goals from last year? With our goals, we're going to meet and go over, what did we do to accomplish those? Some of those are long-term goals, some of them are short-lived. Have you gone over your goals from last year and see if you've made any headway on them? Take those off, keep them on there?
Well, because Mike, wasn't the chair of the committee back then. I think a lot of what seemed to take place was just getting clarification on grab horn and other issues. So, that was a pretty major part of it from, what I recall.
Help with the Parks Master Plan?
So part of the meeting, the presentation to council on the 4th, we'll be going over past goals as well. Isaac has drafted that since I haven't been here that long. He actually sent out a draft to me this afternoon. So
yeah, we did master plan. That was a big part of that was a big chunk of time.
So last year, the way that this kind of worked was that the committee chair came and just gave an update about what the committee had been doing, because sometimes they were working with other groups or on things that weren't action plans. And so I did this year what I did last year, which is I just kind of looked at the minutes and pulled out what they've been working on. And then the chair and or vice chair, whoever's going to present, will just kind of edit those or add or subtract from them as they see fit. It's really a time for them to talk as the committee to council and update them on what progress was made, what they've been doing, so council can hear, as a group, what's been going on in the city for the year. So staff doesn't write those. We just kind of start off their conversation by kind of listing out what kind of happened from the approved minutes.
It's the other end. There you go.
Okay.
It's
One of these I think is really would be useful, and I understand you want to keep that separation between council and between committee members and staff. You know, staff needs to do the work, and we kind of more of a policymakers, but identifying strength and partnership with key stakeholders, I think that's really one that we should probably be really engaged in and have and be involved with in helping Charlotte and Dave kind of create an action plan for that, because I think there's a lot of really good opportunities there with stakeholders. You know, I've heard talking, you know, school, Audubon Society, and we want to make sure that we kind of capture, you know, build those partnerships really.
I think that's really important too. I mean, part of my goal in doing the event that we'll be talking about here in a little bit is that idea of strengthening community membership, community groups, but also getting people engaged and excited about parks. You know, there seems to be somewhat of a disconnect in what I've seen. You know, we have great turnout at the events I do, but there needs to be more of a stewardship with parks that doing these kind of partnerships can really highlight and also bring to fruition.
We'll work with you. The most important thing is we don't want to be going a different direction than where you guys want us to go. I mean, that can be functional.
I will say though that there was a list created by previous committees of goals that were only the committee's goals. Things that you guys work on. Otherwise your year's gonna be awful boring. You're not gonna have much to work on. So there was things like the signage and stuff. Those weren't council goals. Those weren't even city goals. Those were your goals to work on.
Right.
And I know that the committee is actively working.
And I'm trying to think of any, and right now until like the master plan comes out, and we might decide on play structures, and we might come to you and say, will you guys help us figure out what play structures or ADA improvements need to be made at certain parks? Or Chapman Landing, we have decided we're ready to look into that. Maybe we can task you guys with something there. But other than Earth Day, you know, continue to support Earth Day. If there's anything specific that you guys want to work on?
Well, I mean, you know, in setting these goals up, and basically my understanding of what Mike's saying, by setting these goals up and the city saying these are great goals, I think at that point, then we can look at different opportunities to address those main goals. I thought Mike did a great job with the SWAT deal at the last couple of meetings, and just to kind of distill what we're really focused on. You know, previous to Mike being the chair, you know, it was a lot of tedious work on the Grabhorn project, you know, and really just trying to work through that in order to get that grant going. And so, you know, we're kind of at a different place now. And, you know, I really believe that we will have more opportunities to execute goals in conjunction with City Council.
But I think your point's well taken. I think once you adopt goals for the year, you might add some others. You think that we should, but maybe at that point conversation about a work plan for the upcoming year. What things we want to work on. You know, we know we're going to be working on Earth Day. That's going to take a couple of meetings, and I'm sure there's other things. But we probably should try to lay that out in a work plan. Typically, that's what you do.
Is movies in the park? Do you guys do anything besides you and the library?
Well, I mean, Kara and Paul actually, you know, helped with that. So it would be great to get more participation from committee members. But I mean, a lot of these people are new. So, you know, it's kind of like just let's not scare them away. You know, let's give them a chance to kind of settle in. But yeah, I think that's really important.
You know, I look at these goals, and again, you got to find that balance between staff does, but I think there's real opportunity for some robust station and.
I like what I see there, and we have to now turn it in our council goals to something that is trackable, you know, and kind of gives them a direction of where to go. And so we're looking at those. Once we look at them, I'm sure we'll try to come up with specifics that they can towards.
But I'm looking at that increased recreational opportunities for the community. I've heard that mentioned by a lot of folks on this committee, and it'd be good for us to kind of the meeting brainstorming what are those opportunities. If it's a goal, then maybe we work with Charlotte, and I mean, we don't want to do their work, but we want to give them our feedback and help try to. I mean, these are fairly broad goals. How do we? You spend a meeting talking about how things can we do to increase volunteer engagement, which is a big deal.
Throw something else out. Last meeting, I asked about the $700,000 that was in the budget for 2023, and Dave gave me a call and identified where a lot of that money's going. By the time we got down to all of his expenses, there was only about $100,000 left over for improving the parks, and that's why number 2, number 3, number 4 is kind of key parts of this plan. Need to have better funds to do more things with the parks. So I was it was interesting talking to Dave about where all the money's going. I was actually looking at improvements that we made this year. There's not a whole lot of things, but you know, picnic tables and the things like that they've done. Takes a little bit more money than that to actually difference.
But I think if we could help, if, you know, again, if we can help flesh out some of these, we can help some pretty good strategies to help move its part. I would think.
I really do want to increase volunteer engagement, and I want to kind of develop a program plan, website, something that allows us to find people want to volunteer, get them out to volunteer and find them something to do. If they want to give it 5 hours a year, you know, we can coach, you can come out, somehow develop some kind of a volunteer website, get involved, read, do something. Everybody here needs to give back a little bit of time to the community.
Well, and I would say to that, Joe, you know, obviously I work pretty hard to get volunteers to engage in the activities that I have worked to put together with the library. You know, one of the things that's a challenge with the city of Scappoose is that there aren't any real civic organizations. You don't have an active Kiwanis. I mean, and I don't know why that is, because like in St. Helens, their Kiwanis club is very active and they do a lot of stuff. And so I think beyond just looking at volunteer opportunities, look at organizations that are either in the community or that we could develop in the community to actually build that foundation.
I think there's a lot of work here. I mean, again, we got to be aware of that balance. What do you think, Dave?
Well, I have a lot of mixed feelings, what you're saying. Pursuing the grants, that's a done deal. I mean, that's going to take us 10 minutes to write that action plan. Identify the other grant opportunities, we'll watch for them. Right now, this city is buried in ARPA projects. Don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, to spend on chasing that may or may not exist. We're $30 million worth of projects on our planning horizon right now that if we don't get them done in time, we lose that funding. So that's my personal focus. I mean, I never take parks off the horizon, but we have actively moving projects right now. Grabhorn is moving, the master plan is moving. There is a lot of work, and I'm looking through last year's council goals, 2 of which are done. The master plan will be done here shortly. The peace candle is done. Goal number 4.3, which to me is an ongoing goal, is to create a funding mechanism for park maintenance and development. That captures 50% of your guys' goals on this list. So I'm not sure that council's going to recognize that and say, yes, let's keep that on our horizon. I can't speak for them, but I don't know. I mean, we're not, as staff, not going to ask them to take that off. That's an ongoing project for us. We'll always be doing. So the other one is the ADA updates. already recognized that that's a priority to start upgrading. But that's going to take several years.
Right.
You know, it costs as much to put an ADA mat underneath a play structure as it does for the whole play structure. So, I mean, you take what would be a $75,000 play structure, and it's now about 125 to 150. At $100,000 a year for park improvements, you'd be lucky if you get one play structure a year.
One of the
You really wouldn't.
right.
We're kind of in a half. You have to look at a savings plan, and that's why we started putting the 50,000 aside every year, and then we had the 100,000 to work with.
Right.
But it doesn't take long with today's cost to burn through that. Burn through half of this year's budget just doing the cameras, which isn't an every year project, you know. But
Dave, I mean, there's a lot of grants out there, but we don't really go start looking for grants till we have the project at first. Like if we now decide, okay, we need to upgrade our play structures and ADA, then you start developing it, then you can go for the grants. You can't just start looking for grants for it until you've.
Well, the grants are limited. I mean, that's the thing is the little stuff, I'm not even aware of that. The grants are typically the big build it.
Right.
You know, and you got to have the money to match.
But,
you can't keep building these multi-million-dollar projects year after year. So it's going to take several years to get this done.
what about, so, I mean, this was another thing and this was also brought up at the Economic Development Committee meeting, is the idea that actually members of the committee could work on grants. Is that something that?
I think that would be fantastic is if a committee or
I've gotten
whatever
grants.
could
Mike
come.
knows how to get grants. I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, obviously we shouldn't just go get grants and then say, hey, do this. But, I think if we found a grant that, and it may only be $5,000-$10,000, but if we get enough of those,
The one
that
thing
can
that I
add up.
was asked from staff's perspective is don't send us emails over and over with all these what you think might.
Right. Go get it.
Research it before you
Absolutely.
ask it of us because we don't have the time to be chasing these things that are, nets. Yeah, if the committee could do the homework and make sure it's a good fit and then say, hey guys, here we go. That's how I think the partner is beneficial.
I think, our whole role is to support the city and help you enhance our park system, however that happens. And we have a lot of talent here, and we can give you a lot of good feedback. And if there's perhaps given staffing and funding issues, we can help with that too.
I would like to see
That would
more.
be absolutely great. I just understand where the budget is and what we have to work with.
Sure.
There isn't a whole lot, and there's going to have to be some patience or proper planning.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see more murals and artwork and sculptures and stuff. I don't know if that's something the Parks and Rec can look at and see what's out there, how much things cost.
Well, and I have, I was on the Arts and Cultural Committee with the City of St. Helens for years, and the City of St. Helens actually dedicated 1% of their property taxes to art, which is why we had a rather sizable budget. But, there are things you can do, like murals, that you could do on a relatively inexpensive scale. I've actually know a couple of artists that have done murals in Rainier for like $1,000 that were really nice. And so it's really kind of like, well, what's the theme? Once you've got a theme and an idea, then, you can start looking at that. You can also, I mean, like for instance, with the trash can painting, which is, it's a very basic idea, but having kids, doing art, those kind of things that get, once again, gets volunteers involved, get people involved. There's a lot of local artists in the area that we could, have them jury some art to do on a larger scale in the city. I mean, there's a lot of those opportunities.
I was just going to say that I'm with someone from CET today and City of St. Helens. Got a $381,000 grant from Tourism Oregon. Portland. There's a tourism group that funds stuff. They funded murals up in Vernonia, and I guess my comment to you would be that if you felt that was important when you guys have your goal setting, put it on the list, and if the majority of you think it's good, then we can put it on the list, recognizing that there's, might be opportunities, but you also have a limited staff, and that's how it starts, is on the list, and then it's kind of like the candle, that was kind of a out there idea that they were going to tear it down. So we decided to try and save it and got on the list. Then we started finding money. And so, but I don't know if you've seen the murals up in Vernonia. They,
Yeah. We went all through Clascana and all their murals.
Yeah,
St.
so-
Helens, they all got them.
there, that tourism group there's opportunities there. So
Main streets, there's travel organ. There's ones that we need to look at. I just don't know who looks at them,
Well, I've got a great muralist. If you want to meet with her, she's outstanding and she's cheap.
anyway, so,
Wait.
oh,
there a list that you guys can provide us with that we can find, like, whatever, I can say like, here's some grants that we've already chased after, so that we're not doubling up work from the side of things, / like, where this.
I think the big lift for the city right now over the next 3 or 4 months, be Grabhorn, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's a big lift. We've got meetings. Yeah, I mean, the RFP will be a bit of a lift.
Well, it's gonna be, you're gonna have an RFP and you're gonna have to prepare a grant to the state of Oregon Parks Department, which is quite a bit of work. Just that, but other different grants that Parks has.
Yeah, I mean, there's grants out there, but I'm curious if are there grants that we've already pursued that we can find some other ones to just kind of narrow our scope? Going out there on the grant website, right?
We've never documented what's next.
Okay.
We don't have the failure list.
Yeah,
You know?
No, just curious to be able to
There is.
that could be something that we can, as council or as committee members, can kind of get involved with.
Well, let's
figure out a systematic way.
it might be worth your time to take a look at the Oregon State Parks page. They have all their grants listed there, and there's about 4 different ones. But the one that we've Scappoose has pursued like 3 or 4 times, this park for Comley and for veterans was Oregon Lottery grant, and it's a really good. It requires like a 40% match, and you can use the money you use to purchase property as match, and that's why Grabhorn's so critical, because you only do that for so many years and then you can't. The biggest challenge that the city has had in the past on parks is match. It's really been a deal. With this park here, he used Michael Curry's work and design and the work from the Rotary Club to help build this fountain. That was the match to build this park. So I don't think that there's really any other grants that I can think of that the city has pursued. It's in my recollection. Isaac, you have something to say?
Yeah, so we do look at, just so the committee knows, occasionally somebody will forward a grant opportunity to us. We do evaluate them all. So we assign it to a staff and say, hey, go take a look at the grant, see if it's a fit, how much money is it, do we have a project? We do these things pretty constantly. Like Dave said, we don't track them. We don't have any set up for that yet. We do look at all the opportunities, and then the grant you were talking about, Mike, I think that's the one that we're going to be applying for Grabhorn.
Good.
And I guess, so if we're, as a collective, going out and saying this is like homework for us to do, search for grants, thing, blah, blah, what is the best way for us as committee members to bring that to the city? Is that these meetings, bring them here, talk about them, or I don't want to I understand.
No. I think, I don't, but I would
Yeah.
say that, yes, if you know of something, when you guys, your opportunity to go around the table there and talk about things, just say, hey, I found this, guys, and then that could convey to us, and it's good, we'll pursue it.
Yeah, because I definitely want to acknowledge that, like, getting funding, getting money, that's a great thing, but it also takes staff resources to pursue that.
So right at the moment, I will be completely
Yes.
honest. There is nobody on the city staff that has the time to go seek money right now. We're working with what we know are actual dollars and projects on our horizon. mini movie. Yeah. And you know, you get to spend about an hour per department a day, you know, trying to manage all.
And that's why I keep coming back to Grabhorn, because that's April is the deadline for that. And so open and support their efforts to do that. I think if we're successful, that's going to be a huge win for.
We'll need letters of support for that, right? From community or different groups.
Sure.
I am not the group.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, that might be, you guys could help get us some really good letters of support. That time comes.
I've written about 60 grants in my career.
Are you volunteering for this one?
I'd be glad to help. I really would. I love writing grants. I really do. And I'll help. I don't think I should do it, but I'll help Charlotte and I'll help your staff. You can say, sounds terrible, Mike. Scratch it. I don't care, but you know, I worked with Alex and we wrote one for Concomly, and I worked with Lori and we wrote that one. So, and you guys are constrained, and normally you wouldn't have a board do that. You'd have a staff, but we have an interesting situation. We don't have a lot of staff, so. And I think part of that is feedback, is expertise would be valuable. And well, to be honest with you, and it just, you know, takes a team. So.
Yeah.
I see that being a pretty extensive presentation to get through.
Okay, and so I don't think we've adopted these as our goals.
I make a motion to adopt these as our goals.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Not enough.
Been a good discussion though, really.
It has, it has.
So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you all. And so why don't we kind of move to the next item, which is to talk a little bit about the joint work session attendance.
I just wanted to note again, I think you all got a email that is on the 4th of December at 6 p.m. before the council meeting.
Okay. And
if you could RSVP for that meeting, that would be helpful, so we know how to fit everyone in the room, because we have 3 committees that will be attending. So RSVPs will help us make sure everyone's got a seat.
okay, thank you, Isaac. Next, we have Crown Z interpretive signs. Welcome, Casey.
Thank you. As I said, my name is Melissa. I work for Columbia County General Services, and we're in charge of all the county buildings as well as all the county parks. I was going to say, I have written several successful grants for the parks, so you're welcome to reach out to me for any help on those. I've done several through the Oregon Parks and Rec Department, and I was going to suggest the Weyerhaeuser grant because it's very easy.
Oh, that's great.
And it's like an immediate like $10,000. So that's just a.
And what's that limited for? I haven't heard of that one.
I did it last year for a new play structure at Prescott. I got $10,000 just easily. But yeah, it does take a lot of time to research, but whenever I have a little bit of time, I just kind of look around, or people tell me or will email me about opportunities for grants. I got a grant through OPRD for the Crown Z for Holst Trailhead, and we just paved a quarter of a mile of the trail. I don't know if you've ever been to that portion of the trailhead, but it is rough because it's all gravel, a steep hill. So that is a huge deal. And we're establishing it as a full trailhead with parking, a vault toilet, covered picnic area, and interpretive signage, etc. So
Nice job.
thank you. So I'm here to talk about the kiosk signs along the Crown Z Trail here in Scappoose. Go to the next. Okay. So is it possible to have the link opened up? Because if you don't, it's okay. I was just hoping to show it like if you don't, that's okay.
I think I just have a PDF version,
Okay,
but
no worries.
I'll double check while you're speaking. So.
Okay. So based off this pack, we'll start at Chapman Landing. So there's several different signs. So that's just the map itself. Would you mind going, I think it's the next slide. Yeah.
And yeah, I don't have a link. I'm sorry.
Okay. So down each one, you're going to see those brown squares. That's the different locations proposed for signs. That is not like a set in stone thing. This is kind of a proposal of where we thought, because of the information on the sides, signs kind of matched up to that area along the trail or where there was history. So you had a Chapman Landing, and again, these are just proposals. It's cool because like on the Chapman Landing one of the first pictures, it shows little where you are here, and then it shows the dike, and it shows where the river is and whatnot. And it's about the logging and the log boom that was happening at the time. And these are some of the only pictures that we actually had of that area. So it's pretty neat to be able to see those types of things.
You have pictures of those? So they're right here.
Oh, they're in there. Sorry, next slide.
Excuse me. Oh, yeah.
So there's the Chapman Landing, and then
I have the link now, so I'll go ahead and
Oh,
open
I think that's just a video.
oh
The one that Casey sent us was just a video of this easy history. Is that?
no, so there's a different one.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
I can.
Okay. My gosh, I can't do this. No. Baker. Stuck up. It comes through pretty quick. So.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, so where are we at? What's going on?
All right, I'm just sending her this link so that you guys can see the interactive map. That's okay.
We'll say the intent of it was just to have.
Correct. Correct. Okay. Did you get it?
Oh yes, just came through.
Okay, perfect.
Wait.
So if you
Wait, nope. Sorry. Nope. My inbox went from 3 to 4, but I don't have one. Okay, junk. A lot of stuff goes to my junk, but either. So this is what I had up earlier. Is it somewhere on this website? So I can actually look at it.
just gonna keep.
Okay.
Okay. So at Chapman Landing, you've got the log boom. It talks about farming. And then there's the braceros. So that's all along Chapman Landing. That was kind of, again, these are what the Crownsey Trail Committee has been working on, along with meetings with the Historical Society and the Columbia County Museums Association they work with.
No, these kiosk would be located at the entry to the park? They wouldn't be on,
No, they'd be at different locations along the trail.
Okay.
So that's what I was hoping to show on that map.
but the Chapman Landing ones would be all down at Chapman Landing, right? It'd be kind of relevant to the location, correct?
Correct.
Because one of the things, and Dave's better suited to talk about this, but there was hopes to maybe put all that right at the gateway.
Yeah, so we'll have input on where these go.
Okay,
City.
because
Is this the
because the
map?
long-term plan for
Okay.
Chapman Landing is not in
Am I in the right place?
Yeah, so
Places.
go down.
We're working on that, yeah.
on site.
All of these would be cited in a spot that's relevant to its history.
I'm wearing my
Like
old
Chapman
glasses,
Landing,
so I
we
can
would probably be
clearly see which stuff.
somewhere
Here, I will,
bridge maybe or
zoom
something
in.
like that. The log would
yeah.
be where I talked
Okay.
about that concrete platform that exists.
Yeah.
It on that.
Down,
Yeah.
then go to the right.
Identifying where these are relevant to. The interactive map, I think.
Yep.
is looking forward to.
That's
It
good.
shows where the county's kind of proposing these. And
You can always,
Is necessary.
If
you
you
can move them if
zoom
you
in.
need to down the road.
Barely.
The location.
Oh, right here? That thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Go
cannot
up.
see that at all.
Sure, they say.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Relevant. Yeah, because when we were talking about developing Chapman Landing, you know, where are we gonna put a kiosk, where are we gonna, but then we ran into all these problems with the Corps of Engineers saying, oh, you can't even put a fence up
Right.
against the wall or against the butt of that previous old, because of, yeah, it really makes it tricky to do anything out there.
Right.
Anyway, I don't. Go ahead.
Okay, so that is for the section along Chapman Landing. So basically on this is not a map that is on the Crown Z Trail website. This is separate, but this is kind of showing concept that it will, once everything has been figured out and approved and then everything's been installed, then this will be added to the Crown Z Trail website. And then people, if they want to check it out, I don't know if you noticed, but the trail did get recognized as a national recreational trail earlier this year, and that's a huge deal. So even having that there, so then they can see everything on the trail and then on the website, and then they can go there and check it out. The other cool thing is you could go up and over to the left. So yeah, oh,
Am I too far out?
yeah. There should be,
Oh, there, I can see a parking sign.
well, there should be little, you see where that green,
Yeah.
no, down
No,
below.
that's somebody's house.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have my glasses
Okay.
on, or I have the wrong glasses on, so I can't hardly see. That?
Scroll in more.
Okay.
Why?
I don't know why I dropped a pin there.
So, not, you want to go up.
Scroll up a little bit.
So along the trail, it's not, I don't know, it's not populating. I did make sure that it was. I've been studying it all day today. I promise it was working.
It's our fault.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that this is, I have a feeling it's the map or
I
something.
mean, we aren't here today to talk about the exact locations of these signs either, right? We're just generally located in this area.
Correct.
So I
correct.
think we all know where Chapman
Okay.
Landing is.
So we'll continue on. So further along, so Jonathan from Wild Columbia County has done it along the trail. His idea is he has researched the specific types of animals that have been seen in those areas. And so he did these little like nature things. You'll see in your packet, like a Marsh's denizens. So he has all the different types of birds that we're seeing around there. So there's different locations for that. And in the map itself, he has the exact like GPS point in it, so that it's kind of cool because it has that exact thing. I just wish I could see on there. If you exit, not the same. I'm sorry. I'm a little disappointed that didn't work because it's a better presentation if you are able to click on each one and it pops up and it shows you different things. So then you have the biodiversity and abundance. not even sure what that word is, but it's different types of birds, more of that along the trail. Mammals of the wetlands, systems that pump our water clean. Santosh Slough and Jackson Ditch, information about that. Birds of prey. And then you get to around Airport Park. And this is just pictures of like when the hangar was being built, aerial. And then you have information on West Lane School. One of the pictures just shows where Scappoose Sand and Gravel is with West Lane and Crown Zellerbeck Road back in 1956. Another thing that is actually really cool about, if you go back up here to where it says the bomber crashes by crew uninjured. So on the map, on this, it's going to have a little code thing that you can scan, and then it takes you to the Crownsey Trail website, and it tells you the whole story of that bomber that crashed. It's actually a really interesting story, but because this portion of the trail is the only portion that really has cell service, so we actually are able to like have, if there's interesting stories that we wanted to have, you can scan it and the little code, and then it takes you to the website to tell you the full story, because obviously we can't tell the full story in just a little tiny board or picture and whatnot. So that was all of that. And then you have the Turtec section. We had some information. We got information from Ed Turtec, and that was provided by him for that section.
That's the Chapman Landing section, right?
No, that's Turtec at Trailhead on the other end.
I mean, where we dedicated that restroom, they actually dipped it Chapman Landing.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. That's just, they couldn't fit it all in one location, so they kind of, for that.
Okay.
And then, like, there's more on the logging. I feel like we're missing. Okay, so there's a couple other things. I know there have been discussion about wanting to have more, like as far as Airport Way and the airport having a little blip on Betsy Johnson. So we had gotten, and also about Mount St. Helens. So there's it's not in here for some reason, but there's a whole section on Mount St. Helens and aerial pictures of that and images from even Betsy Johnson from herself taking pictures from there. And then a little bit of information about her. So that was just a concept that they had put out about just putting out there because I know she's significant to the community.
I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
The aspects of the airport and Betsy Johnson and all of that. So my understanding is that you've got the CC Trail on one side, and then there's that sidewalk across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Is that PCC, or you know what I'm talking about? There's two sides. There's the trail, and then across the street there's a road, which is also not a road. It's actually a trail itself. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Would there be a possibility to put some of that information there because that would be more relevant to that side, or no?
I don't know. I don't think so, just because it's not part of the trail, but don't know.
Okay.
Because these are just, the concept is these are part of the trail, so we're just trying to have a story to tell along the trail as you're going along it.
Right.
You're learning information about different aspects of the history of Scappoose.
Mm-hmm.
So I do understand what you're saying because it's right next to the across the street, but
right.
still the concept is to tie in with the rest of the trail so that we're telling a story, an interpretive story throughout the trail from Scappoose all the way to Vernonia.
With all due respect, I like most of this. It's all historical, but I really don't see where St. Helens has any relevance to the.
I don't know. I was told
so.
that we were asked to include that as part of one of the signs, some signage about that.
And I think too, I mean, part of, obviously I've got a couple of challenges. The fact is that for 12,500 years, we had Native Americans living here. So that's Not even written up.
So I will say something about that. The reason we hadn't fully figured that one out is because there's concern that like if we can absolutely put up a whole board about that. They have done quite a bit of research on that, but they were concerned, I guess, about if they posted that information that people might go looking for the archaeological sites and mess with them. So
Right.
yes, those are public information, so anybody could go and look them up. But we definitely can do something like that. Again, these signs are not set in stone.
Absolutely.
This is our concept proposal of what we would like to.
No, I think it's great. But the other thing, so I mean, I just have a quick question. How many here actually hike the trail at all? Okay, how many have hiked the Scappoose portion? How many have hiked like the whole portion? So here's the thing. I love hiking. I've hiked Mount Rainier, I've hiked Yellowstone, actually lived in Africa, hiked out in the savannah. And the thing that I think that is really important to take into consideration here is that there's a lot of information here. For the city of Scappoose, this is the only hiking trail we have. And for me, the experience of hiking is to experience nature. You know, it's like the Japanese talk about that idea of forest bathing, where you go and you go into nature and you just kind of disconnect. And I think the challenge with having a lot of signs along here is that defeats that purpose. I think those signs are great. I think the way to really address it is to do it like you do the rest of the trail. On the rest of the CZ trail, you basically have signs about a mile apart, if not further. And that really allows people to just experience the nature around them. And I think it's so important. We have seen a 200% increase in people hiking. I mean, and the reason they do it is for their mental health, for their well-being, and to just disconnect. And I was shocked, honestly, during the pandemic when I went down the Scappoose portion of the trail because so many people were out there and they were using it. And, you know, and so interestingly enough, I actually went and did a little survey over the past couple of months. I'll give you, I knew you were talking, I didn't want to give this to you, but here is this. So I used to own radio stations and I did a thing called Women on the Street, Man on the Street, where I would come up with very specific questions, but not leading to get feedback. And so I spent a good part of September and October going along this trail, different parts of the day at different, like mostly weekends, because that's when most people were out there. And then I asked some very specific questions and I had like 37 people I approached, 31 actually took the test and gave me answers. So the time of these interviews were I was able to reach 22 people on the weekends and 9 on the weekdays. The first question was, do you live within the city of Scappoose limits? And that answer was 28 people said yes, 3 said no, 1 said visiting with family, and then 2 were Columbia County residents. Second one is, how often do you use the Scappoose portion of the CZ Trail? Sure.
Where were you at?
Oh, I was actually all over. I went to the beginning of the trail where the porta potties were, and then I would go up to Chapman Landing, and then I actually was able to talk to some cyclists, but they were parked because I couldn't stop them. So anyway, and so then the next question was, so we had most of the people that I interviewed, most of them live within the city of Scappoose limits. And then the second question, how often do you use the Scappoose portion of the CZ Trail? 1 time, 6, monthly or longer, 10, weekly, once a week, 12, and then more than once a week were like 3. Then the next question was, what is your favorite part of the city portion of the trail? 7 said all of the trail. 18 said Chapman Landing. 1 actually said the parking restroom area. 3 said fishing. We had 2 say bird watching, and 1 said picnicking. Fourth question was, have you ever biked into the Columbia County portion of the trail from the Scappoose City portion of the trail? No. 29 said no. 2 said yes. If no, why not? Too far were 5. Dangerous crossing Highway 30, 21, and 5 were unaware of the connection. And I think that had to do more with the idea that you've got that parking structure with the restrooms. And then the problem is that you have a sidewalk. So you really don't have a trail. So people were oblivious that there was actually a connection to it. And then the last question I asked were, what changes or additions would you like to see along the trail? More trees, 9. Picnic tables, benches, 5. More parking at Chapman Landing, and that's past the bridge. They wanted to actually be able to park, where the Chapman Landing area was. That was 3. Wildlife sign, 7. Covered picnic shelter, 2. Interpretive signage, 3. Bike racks, 3. Fishing access, 4. More wildlife viewing, 2. Less graffiti, 3. Boat ramp, 2. Informational signage, i.e. maps, length of trail, 3. So, I mean, and that was just some basic questions. So, I mean, I think signs are great and they're really helpful, but I also think they need to be strategic and editorial and thoughtful for the end user. And I love the idea of historic signage. I mean, I honestly think that Heritage Park would be a great place to have that kind of signage because we're right next to the Watts house. But on the trail itself, I think the way to address it is that, and that's how they do it on the rest of the trail, is that you have your signage at the trailhead. I think having QR codes where people can scan all this other information. And then I think it would be a real opportunity for the city to actually be able to have historical signage by the Watts house and actually have it in Heritage Park. It would be meaningful. And it's not, I just know that for me, hiking is just so important. And I think we need to realize that, in Columbia County, and it's like people need this for their mental health, they need it for exercise, and they need it for peace of mind. And I think that really needs to be taken into consideration.
So other feedback?
From that was all I got.
I would like to say I think this is great. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who don't know about this history. A lot of people who like to hear about it, like to see it, and I personally think it's a perfect place to show that information to anybody who wants to come out and walk on the trail or bike on the trail, and you'll be able to pick and choose what you want to read, what you don't want to read, and I think you've heard a couple times, and I'm sure you guys thought about this a lot, but it will come down to those exact locations when the time comes for it to be there. But I mean, I like it. I think it's really nice and simple, the signage itself. And I'm guessing kind of a motif template that goes all the way up and down the Crown Z Trail. So stuff that's coming in the Scappoose will read as a whole unit if somebody was to choose to bike the whole trail itself or portions of it throughout time. So I think it's really wonderful.
Any other feedback?
I actually have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Seeing 4 images, like on that one with a lot of print. The last I knew, these were going to be the waist-high kiosks board there. Is that correct?
The ones that are slanted?
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
So that's what this would be.
Correct.
So these were only like 3.5 feet by 4 feet. I'm concerned that won't be legible.
The print would be too small. Sure, that makes sense.
But I wanted to clarify that all 4 of those images would be on one of those kiosks, right? Because this has changed slightly since the last time I saw it.
Barry?
Yeah, I believe that all
I'll have
4
to
of
get
those
back
is
on that.
one.
Yeah.
I thought they were wider than, what you say, the dimensions?
I thought they were only like 3.5.
No,
feet
they're
tall.
they're a bit bigger than that.
I was thinking
Think.
signs about 30 inches or so.
So they
That's even
are
smaller than
they're
I'm saying.
20
Is it?
by 10. The individual signs I think are like 20 by 30.
30?
Yeah.
I think the important part is that as long
People
as
be able to
can
read them.
it. Yeah, yeah.
So to clarify, like this is one, this is one, this is one, this is one. You're not saying that
There are 4 of them.
this entire slide a single one, or is each 4 of
That
these?
is how I interpret that. That was the intent. You would have whatever information is relevant at that one
Okay.
location.
Correct.
To be 4 boxes and 1 sign.
This kiosk shouldn't be any bigger than that much of the table. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to read it. You get it too far out there and people aren't even gonna be able to read it. So, and that wasn't, I do have dimensions. Casey shared that with me.
Yeah.
For the duration. I think that's gonna be a little. But I want to intervene here just real quick so you guys understand where we're going with this and the intent. That we'd like you to look through. Next presentation will be a council. So what we're looking for is the committee's feedback on the content.
Right.
Are you okay with the amount of this? What recommendations would you make? And then we'll take your feedback with the county's presentation to council. Then they can weigh in however they so. Sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I appreciate it. I think it's great. I just, like I said, for me, hiking is the ability to kind of get away from the world. And I think if we had more trails, that this wouldn't be so much of a point for me, but we don't. And I wish we did have more trails. We've talked about, developing Vista Park, and we just don't have it. And, the challenge I mean, I have literally ridden my horses on the Bankster Trail like 100 times. And the thing is that when you've got roads that you have to cross, they've got that one where you actually have a bridge that you can ride over. And then there's a 2-lane highway in Buxton that has no cars. And so it's easy to cross. Highway 30 is awful. I mean, it is like, unless we can come up with a way to either have a bridge over that, it's just not safe. People don't feel safe doing that. And so, I mean, and we really need to look at developing a trail that starts at the highway, and that you don't have a sidewalk. And so there's just so much confusion, and I'm just being a realist. I just don't see people doing that. And I wish they would. I mean, I think with bikes, that's more of a possibility. But walking, and certainly not with horses. I mean, it's not going to happen. But
Okay, so let's get back to the signage.
So-
I haven't heard from a couple of you. Any feedback?
Yeah, I think it all looks really good. I really like the nature ones. Yeah, I mean, it's really good to me. I love it.
Okay,
Yeah, I
Ryan?
think
Say that probably some of these could more have that trailheads and stuff, but like certain ones and stuff, you could have that on the way and everything. So necessarily need to be at.
right, and with the trail along the Columbia County side, that's exactly what they do at the Riley trailhead. There's signage right along there that people can explore, and then you're off enjoying nature.
I'll jump in right there. I think just to answer you. So on this exhibit, you guys probably all understand this. I'm probably speaking the obvious, but the ones that are boxed in green, that is the wildlife sign.
Right.
So it's going to be targeted where those ponds are.
It's very
So you all
specific
know.
to those locations where they've seen, like Jonathan had seen that specific types of wildlife. So he noted and he put, that's why he suggested the sign be in that location. with
the
that.
majority of them are going to be at the trailheads, pretty much, aren't they?
Correct.
Much.
Yeah, because my understanding is it's going to be like every 60 feet, and it's like,
No,
Oh, no.
okay,
not at all. No, no. It's
I was like,
trailhead areas like, yeah.
good. Well, and the other thing I just want to interject too is that meeting with the Audubon Society, they're also interested in working on wildlife signage and also habitat restoration in various areas, including the Scappoose Bay Marina area. So, that's another thing to really take advantage of. This weekend, they're having their wildlife festival art show, which is amazing, down at Portland State. And I'll be going and talking to them, but they're a great resource.
For sure.
They're
Okay,
exceptional.
I'm going to have to leave here in a little bit myself because I got a wife that's coming in from the Bahamas.
How'd you let that happen?
Anyway,
Why aren't you
I gotta
here?
pick her up. I haven't eaten good for a week and a half, so get her home to take care of me.
I have the interactive part of this.
But, so basically I'm hearing everybody's pretty good with them. And as Ian mentioned, or kind of pointed out, most of the signs are at the trailheads, and I think that's a preference, except for the wildlife ones, which are appropriate
Along with-
at that location. I guess the other thing I would add is, I think it needs to be trail history like all the other ones. And I really don't see the relevance with Mount St. Helens in the trail. So,
Again, these are all just suggestions, so
yeah. And
nothing's.
so what do you guys think?
I think we should move forward with it. I think the county's done a great job with the 20 miles they've already done, and we should follow through with it.
Okay. So is that pretty much a consensus?
Yeah.
I think you got our feedback. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're
All right.
welcome to reach out to me if you need help with grant.
Do you have a business card or anything?
Don't on me. I have your email address.
A little bit of time.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Michael, just so the committee's aware, this project's gonna cost the city about 15,000. Not free to us.
Oh.
We have to buy into this project.
Signage?
Oh,
So one thing about that is we actually got a grant for signage for all the posts and everything, so that's all covered now. And then the only thing left now is just printing the signs, but I think we have that worked out as well. So,
Casey hasn't given us that update.
so we did get a grant earlier this summer to cover, so we have all the posts ready. We have them ready to go, so once we got the full green light, we're able to work with the city to get everything going. So
Yeah.
that dollar amount is different now.
So,
Much different.
so that's something you have to work out with the mayor, that 15,000 will. All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, come back anytime.
thanks.
So, 3-4, Adventure Festival Scappoose Summer Outdoor Palooza Update. So,
All righty.
go ahead.
So I gave you guys just some outline packets on the Scappoose Summer Outdoor Palooza that I've been working in conjunction with Scott. Mike's been giving us feedback. Christine Turner with the Economic Development Committee, Joe Backus. And basically, the idea is that we do an event on June 8th, which is, it's like graduation is on the 1st of June. And then the school is out on is it the 14th? I think I'm right. It's 14th. Yeah, so 13th to 14th. And so June 8th is actually the last Saturday school's in session. And so basically the idea is that we do a nature themed event that focuses on everything that is fun to do in the outdoors. And that Scappoose is the entry point to all of that excitement. Next Adventure was a client of mine when I had the radio stations, and so working with them to set up something where we could give away a kayak as a grand prize, having lots of activities for the kids and adults, doing live music, getting groups involved like the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and also having companies like Fred Meyer and Bimart setting up booths that would be able to have camping gear available, but it would also be great to have demonstrations about that, having community groups involved, including the senior center, having the fire department coming out and doing junior firefighter safety training for the kids. The forest department actually has a Smokey the Bear costume. So I've reached out to them to see if we can get Smokey the Bear to come out. We would have a dunking tank where you could dunk the mayor. And we'd also try to incorporate some of the things that were really fun with the Scappoose Sauerkraut Festival, including trying to figure out how to recreate the sauerkraut sandwiches, which I guess were a massive hit, and other activities as well. It would go from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. it was asked to do an 80s dance party, so I wrote that in from 6 to 8, and then we would have live music, and we would also do it in conjunction with the Scappoose Farmers Market, so that we've got some foot traffic. You know, one of the great things with Movies in the Park and the Earth Day celebration is that I've got thousands of followers on social media, so we can really go after those as well. And the library also has thousands of followers, and so it's a great opportunity to really showcase the natural wonders and beauty of Scappoose, and to really create a festival that people can just have a lot of fun.
Who's sponsoring it?
So we've got a number of people sponsoring it. We're having the city start out sponsoring as the major sponsor. We're asking for $20,000. 10,000 of that would go for library staff, because Jeff actually has to run the desk like 16 to 20 hours a week, and he does a lot of the work. So having teams that we would hire to work at the library, as well as having additional staff hours to allow him to do that. And then we would go out and get sponsorships from a number of companies that I've worked with in the past.
But as far as organizations, the library would be the organization that would.
Well, the library and the city. I mean, I think it's a joint venture, and then we would also have the community club working with us. We would reach out to a number of other organizations to help us with that. Columbia River PD would be a great opportunity to help with that, and yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
So, any feedback from anyone?
See this as being a better option than $90,000 that was spent last year.
Well, and I think too, you know, I mean, really, you know, because of all the connections that we have with movie night and with the Earth Day celebration, you know, a lot of those people would want to sponsor and participate. You know, I thought about stuff like having a kiddie fishing pond where we could have kids fish for toys. And I guess there was a fish throw, a rubber fish throw at the Scappoose Sauerkraut Festival. Do you know about that, Mike? They actually brought that up to me today.
Where?
At the Sauerkraut Festival, they had like a rubber fish throw. I swear, that's what they told me. So I said, hey, if you want to do it, that's fine. But you know, we would do things where we would educate kids on plant identification with the Scappoose Bay watershed. We would also have face painting that is nature themed, but just you know, have a fun day. And then the thing that would be great about it too is that having it in conjunction with the farmers market, we've already got foot traffic. You know, when we did the movie night, I mean, we started that with a sheet on the gazebo and just started it out small. And we would do that with this as well, but I think we get a really good turnout.
Obviously, as the facilities manager, so to speak, of the city, a couple of concerns come to mind. One is your date. This lawn is still small. Right. We'll destroy it. It won't be back by using the park.
So let me ask you this really quick, Dave. So now, how much of the lawn does the farmers market use any of the lawn, or do they? Because we're planning on using a lot of the street for the booths.
Well, that's my next question, because the farmers market uses every bit of the street. So if that's in full swing, looking through your adult portion, you've got fire safety with the fire department. Everybody's going to have some lay down space.
Right.
Outdoor cooking. You've got RVs. I don't know if they're going to bring an RV or two.
So that would.
ATVs, boats. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of big footprints, and I don't know where you're going to put these things. This isn't a very big footprint.
I completely agree. So I mean, and so part of this is that this is just my idea plan. So once we go out and talk to companies and figure out what they can do, like for instance, with the RVs, I would recommend nothing bigger than a teardrop trailer. I mean, something small on the side of the road. You know, with boating, you know, like with kayaks, I thought the thing we could do is actually give away a kayak for the big prize at the end of the event, but also tying in activities that you can do that are outdoor oriented, like, you know, going on the trail, like going down to the kayak center and boating. I mean, you know, Chapman Landing, which is really exceptional, and really utilizing it and saying, look, this is all happening right here, and it's something that we can build on.
I get that. I'm just saying your seen a lot of things, small area that city more than current market.
Right.
I mean, we had to do the 100-year over 2 parks because of trying to grant.
Right.
Let's just say we stretch down First Street here, then where are people going to park?
Right.
Unless you're going to shuttle them or.
Well, and we can do that. I mean, the thing is that I'm not planning on having thousands of people showing up for year one. That's part of the goal, is that we're going to make it a manageable size. And if it gets crazy, I mean, I don't think it's going to do that.
Ian, you got a comment?
Well, I was gonna ask how it falls in line date-wise. A
Yes.
celebration.
Sure.
Future Fest, so it's like months
Yes.
between those big events.
Right.
Seems to work good.
Adventure Fest.
So this would take the
Yeah, Adventure, this is replacing Adventure.
So basically, this is on a much smaller footprint, and it's not saying that we couldn't do it in other areas. I want to manage expectations, and I'd rather start small. We can always make it bigger down the road. And, my hope is that it wouldn't be, crazy for the park, but I don't know that for a fact. But I believe that we're looking at maybe 300 to 400 people at that event total.
Other feedback?
Farmers Market doesn't use anything on the side of, right?
Correct.
Long railroad tracks, all that open area.
Right.
That be utilized for these or.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We could close down the street. We could talk to there's parking across the street that we could do activities as well. But it's really more about just, like having Barlow Bikes come down and bring bikes. And so he would do free bike checks for the kids and give away free helmets. And so that is the basic idea, is that we have local companies that are participating, local community groups that are participating, and just something that we can really build on, that's not going to go away like the Sauerkraut Festival when the pickle company closed.
I like the idea of bringing in the local businesses.
Right.
Great idea.
Right.
Any other feedback?
I do when you have a chance, Mike.
Go ahead.
We would want to look into the parking lot across the street and what is the access along the railroad for parking or canopies, what is available there. But I would stress that if this was the deal, the city, as stressed as they are, they would not be involved really in anything other than permit work, maybe answering questions. So we would really like to see a committee, a good big group together. And I don't know if I'm volunteering myself individually. I don't know if each of you can as well, but we would want to see a really good committee group answering all these questions, or asking these questions. So moving forward, we're like the grass. We wouldn't even really thought that could tear that up as much. And how far down the road can we block off? We can't just block off a road without talking about it first.
Sure.
So I'd like to see really good organization of a group getting together. I know the library will run it through. The city has talked about sponsorships. We would like to see other grant opportunities looked at as well.
Any other feedback? I guess my thought is I really like the other, I didn't think that last year's event was all that bad, except for it didn't have enough community, didn't have a citizens committee to kind of support it. And I like that location. I'm a little worried about June 8th being a little early, maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Our baseball season is over by June 8th. Those fields are going to be they're not, we start in April. So those Veterans Park, all that, should be.
And I really would like to have, things that older, I guess, have music in the park, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we were planning on having music. So.
And the booths that were there last year were really, really good. I thought the weather was a little hot, but I'm glad that there's going to be an event, and I really appreciate it.
You need to make a motion or you pass your time.
Oh, yes. Need to make a motion to continue for another 10 minutes.
Second?
Good.
Okay,
All right.
I'm out of here.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, so the reason why I wanted to do the Heritage Park is that I just want to make sure that we can have a successful event. And because we've done other events there, we're very knowledgeable at it. I understand the grass issue, so we'll have to address that part of it. But I really believe that working with the Watts House, having them, one of the ideas I had for that was having them doing a tour about life before the smartphone, where young people could go in and see how life was before all that took place, and also to be able to utilize the library's meeting room for specific meeting groups that would talk about things like how do you set up a tent, how do you get a campsite, what you have a question?
Oh yeah, but I can wait. I just want to.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Does anyone know how many people attended the Adventure Festival last year?
The report was 6,000.
Okay. I just wanted to point something out because I know that cost has been a concern regarding the Adventure Festival. I did 90,000 divided by 3,000. That was just my estimate of how many people came. So it's actually double that. And the dollar per person for the outdoor palooza, I took the higher number of 400 at the $20,000 donation by the city is actually significantly higher per person for this
Sure.
event. So I don't know if that's something that wants to be considered.
Well, I think one
I
of
know
the
the
other
dollar amount's less, but
Right.
the dollar per person is
right. One of the other
is
things to
significantly higher.
consider is that we're planning on getting sponsors, so that is going to offset it. But the thing is that I don't know what that number is, and I don't like to blue sky it because I just don't think that is fair. So I believe we can probably get 10 to 15,000 in sponsorships, but until I can't go and get money until we get the okay to do this. So
I just meant like of city funding because I know that again that was sort of like a point of contention with folks, not just here
Absolutely.
but in other committees as well. Just wanted to point that out. The math.
right, but I I've got a number of reports saying that it wasn't 6,000, that it was considerably less than that. So I just think, we need to be a little more realistic about that. So anyway, but either way,
I
it's
mean,
fine.
I've heard that a lot too. You're correct. I'd really love to see that information for sure. If you ever have a time to share it with me.
Yeah, I had numerous people send me pictures and say that nobody, I don't know why they called me, but they did. Oh yeah.
I would be curious though if that's factored in at one moment or because I did Sunday's events with and stuff. I know there were a lot of first timers.
Oh, good.
Not on Saturday. We had a huge amount of kids. Absolutely loved our brand new back.
Sure.
That thing was like a stream. So, I mean, when you're doing your statistics, I would be curious to know when you printed that out over 2 days.
Right.
Yes. At any one given moment, there probably wasn't.
Right.
My only thing, just going back to that date, why are you set on being so early in?
Well, a couple of things. With climate change and summers getting pretty hot, having it in August, I think is dangerous, and also problematic. Having it in early June also allows companies that want to actually be involved in selling product that is outdoor related. It's just more of an incentive for them. If you do something like that in August, it's just not going to work. So one of the things that I'll be doing is going to the Wild Arts Festival for the Audubon Society this weekend. And then I also, when I originally came up with this idea, I had gone to the Sportsman Show, and there were so many vendors that had nothing to do with hunting or fishing. And it was like, there's just nobody really doing anything quite like this. So I think there's a real opportunity for the city to not only help with the branding of an outdoor event, but also to just really expose people to just how great the outdoors are in Columbia County.
I'm only being devil's advocate. I think that it's great that you're taking the initiative.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I just know that when presenting council, I think on Monday on this, their desire was a Adventure Fest was
Right.
really push. So you may get some.
Yeah, no, no, no. And I understand that. I mean, and it's like having the movie night be successful in August is because we started it at 6. And, people came there because they were inexpensive hot dogs and burgers. But the fact is that a lot of people, if it was a warm day, were coming like towards dusk because they want to avoid the heat. So if you're going to have something later in the season, we just have to be real. If you've got 110-degree weather, then there needs to be misting stations. There needs to be areas that are covered. And the reason why I like Heritage Park so much is that you've got a splash park so people can go jump in the water if they want to. You've got an air-conditioned room at the library. So those things just really lend itself to helping people be comfortable when it does get hot. I agree with that, but I also
One other thing, and then I'm gonna shut up. But
Right,
is you're on the heels today. You're
Yes.
only about 5 weeks or 6 weeks after today.
Right.
Which is virtually the same event in the same park with the same. That May.
No, the farmer's market's not during Earth Day. That's in April. April 20th this year. Earth Day, yeah.
I thought that there were vendors.
Yeah, vendors that we brought in.
Either way, I'm just saying, you're still only about 5 weeks behind virtually.
Right. Well, I don't think it's identical, but
Sometimes you'd be successful.
give me that award back.
No, I'm looking out for you.
No, I know, I know.
This is a lot of work to bring in only 300 or 400 people. I think you want to shoot for the moon.
I think we can shoot for the moon. I guess my concern is that having done a lot of successful startups with my companies, it's like I am all about kind of testing the waters to make sure we know what we've got. And that I'm conservative that way. And so if I say we'll have 400 people at that event, then we can plan accordingly. If there's more than that, then, we've got to adjust it. But it's like I'd rather do it well and do it smaller than take on too much and fail. That's really it. And it's not saying that you can't move it to a different location if you want to do that. But I think that's and Charlotte and other people have come up to me and talked that. I think that's like a year 2 or year 3 proposition. It's like, let's give it some legs and see what happens. The other thing that I'm planning on doing with the Audubon Society is that they actually have a whole room dedicated to authors that have trail books, that write trail books, that write outdoor books, and they come and they actually sign autographed copies of the books. And so part of the plan is to get authors down there at that event as well to do that. But to really engage the kids in fire safety, in wanting to do stuff outdoors, and giving businesses the opportunity that are local to sell products that are geared towards that type of activity. Any other questions?
Might be like lots of compromise going on.
Oh, that's
Discussing this.
yeah, no, and that's perfectly fine. I'm just here to make successful. I'm just volunteering my time. So the other thing I think Charlotte was talking about was not wanting to have a meeting in December. You'd brought that up.
The meeting, well, I didn't know. I'm not sure how this committee has handled holiday time sort of meetings in the past. But our next meeting is scheduled for the 21st. I don't know if that's going to be difficult for people, if they want it. I don't know. It's all obviously it's up to you.
So are people here? So is everybody here, or let's kind of go around the room? Does anybody not want to have a meeting on December 21st? Understood.
I am checking right now. Okay. The only thing that I've added to the agenda draft so far is Grabhorn design quote discussion. Okay. I can't remember who
So-
sent me that.
So if we're doing the meeting with the city,
Yeah.
with the different committees, I mean, do we need to have a meeting to discuss that or no? Well, on December 3rd, we're having the different groups coming together to city council. So,
Or a review of the draft.
right, right. So, I mean, will we need a meeting to discuss that or no?
No, that is it.
So this meeting is the one right before, the meeting we're currently at is the time that you have to discuss that. After the 4th, council will have heard that presentation already. So, I mean, you could.
The next steps
both.
after that is adoption of that.
Okay. And then what is the timeline for that? Okay.
So any comments that they hear be drafted into it, staff will take one more final look to make sure all those boxes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm fine with having a meeting or not having a meeting. So, let's have a motion. Does anyone want to make a motion to not have a meeting December 21st? All right. Anybody want to second that? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Motion carries. Any other information? We adjourn the meeting? Meeting adjourned.
Sure. And February. Okay. I am going to pop this on Susan's desk before I forget.
You might log us out. What we'll do is we'll put the RFP out.
Yeah.